I'm Andy Sway, spiritual healer in Los Angeles, and this video is about the fire element in astrology and emotional avoidance. So, in my last video, I talked about the air element, how we can avoid emotions, and many of us do, through the intellect. And if you want to see more about that, check out that video. I'll put a link to it. Now, how do we use the fire element? The fire element is action, passion, courage, even violence. It's that fiery energy that could be charismatic, or it could be destructive in the extreme. So fire, like all the elements, has a wide range of attributes because it's basically 25% of infinity. It is an archetype. So how do we use the fire element to avoid the emotions that we don't want to feel? Well, one very American way of doing that is false enthusiasm. Acting enthusiastic, happy, joyful, all that, when you're not. It's a kind of fake it to make it attitude. It can work in some situations, but it can be a real major method of emotional avoidance. It's like, what do they call it? Like Iowa nice or Minnesota nice or whatever, that kind of Midwestern thing where people are really cheerful, happy, whatever, but then when you scratch the surface, they're all pissed off. That's the kind of thing that we can do with false enthusiasm, a kind of false positivity. And that can be a fire a fire element method of resisting how we really feel. And that makes it impossible to get at the real feelings that are going on underneath the surface and to do the real healing that we require. Another way is passion, right? Being in passion is great. You wouldn't be here without passion, probably. So there's nothing wrong with the fire element. There's nothing wrong with passion. There's nothing wrong even with violence in certain conditions, like protecting yourself. But it's when we use these things to avoid feelings that really, ideally, we would heal and transform. But a lot of people don't know that's even an option. So you can use passion almost in a very similar way to false enthusiasm. Like you're passionate about everything, you're always excited about things and whatever, but it's a front a lot of times. Or it's an overemphasizing of something that is actually true, but not the way you're portraying it. And so that's just something that you want to look out for. Is your passion genuine? If so, please bestow the world with its goodness. But it might not be. And if it's not, you want to look at, are you using passion to avoid feeling something? Now, a huge one is impulsiveness. It's this thing of where you feel that you have an urge to do whatever it is, and then you just do it, right? And that is also something, that impulsiveness is a kind of barrier against feeling. It's also a barrier against taking the time, number one, to feel, number two, to use your intuition. Okay? So there's some people that they just go out and they just impulsively do things, and then they spend the rest of their time cleaning up the mess. Or, highly likely, other people clean up their messes all the time. And so the impulsiveness a lot of times comes out of an unwillingness to feel certain things. Rather than sitting in the feeling, you take action. That action could be in the realm of avoidance, like, I just need to get out of here, right? Instead of going through a conflict, a situation that's dramatic with another person. So notice how you can use these things to avoid your emotions. And if you are a Leo, Aries, or Sagittarius, or if those signs are predominant in your chart, like moon, rising, planetary stelliums, whatever, it's something to look at. We all have ways that we avoid our emotions, and fire might be a big part of how you avoid yours. That's something you need to analyze within yourself. Now, violence is also, it's the worst case scenario of it, but that is the fire element. Destructive, violence. And the thing is, for example, think of the person who is rejected, made fun of, and they lash out with violence. That's a classic case. I don't want to feel what I'm feeling, so I'm going to lash out at the other person. I don't want to feel jealous, so I'm going to attack the person who's, quote unquote, making me jealous. They're not making you jealous. Your jealousy is a reaction. So you can get into a lot of trouble through impulsiveness and, at its extreme, violence. But some people would rather go to prison than feel their feeling in the moment. It's not that they sit there in that moment and say, am I going to lash out in violence and end up in prison? Or am I going to sit here and feel my feeling? Oh, no, I think I'll lash out in violence. That's not really what happens. But in the end, that is what's happening. So these are the kinds of things, and again, each element is 25% of infinity. So this, by definition, is not going to be a comprehensive examination of all the fire element things that we could use to block our emotions, to avoid our emotions, and avoid our emotional healing. But it is useful to break things down into categories so that we can get a more granular look at our issues, and that we can kind of go after them one by one. So this is the fire element. Up next will be the earth element. So if you'd like to work through any of these issues, you can get in touch with me at andysway@yahoo.com. I do phone sessions and Skype and Zoom sessions with clients around the world. I can also work with you here at my place in Hollywood, California, or I can come to you in Southern California for an extra charge if you'd like that convenience. So anyway, andysway@yahoo.com. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you feel called to do that with all your fiery energy. And thanks a lot. Bye.